Hello everyone, thanks for coming, and today I would like to give a 5-note review of what we have learned in our course Financial Mathematics. So first, we learned financial derivatives, and there are 3 financial derivatives we are talking about during our lectures. The first is the option. We have the European and American put and call options. Then we have futures contracts and the forward contracts. They are similar, but they are also different from each other. For the futures contract, one can always close out his position at any time, but for the forward contract, usually the forward contract is settled at the predetermined date. After learning futures contract, we learn how to hedge using futures contracts. The key things here are the components of futures contracts, like the positions and the time to maturity and some other key factors. Also, when we do cross hedging, we should notice that the underlying asset of the futures contract is usually different from the assets that we wish to hedge against. We need to be familiar with the hedging statement. The next important chapter is the interest rates. We learned different types of interest rates like the LIBOR and the risk-free interest rates. And the important interest rates here are the risk-free rate as well as LIBOR, the floating rate. We should also be able to perform the bond price and yield argument, like calculating the bond price, the par yield, and so on. Next, one important chapter is the swap. So we should be familiar with the comparative advantage statement. It says that if one company has an advantage in borrowing 1 times of interest rate loan, like fixed rate, but it wants another, like the floating rate, then it would do a swap with another company who has an advantage in the floating rate loan, so that both parties can benefit from a swap. We should also be able to calculate the values of the swap's contract. The important thing here is to discount the values in the end to the current values. The next important chapter is option pricing. So we should always keep in mind what the put call parity is. It links the price of the put option, the strike price, the risk-free interest rate, the spot price of the stock, as well as the price of the call option together. We should be able to write down the put-call parity. Based on this, if the price of certain options deviates from its theoretical price determined by the put-call parity, then there's room for arbitrage. We should also be able to do the arbitrage strategies. Generally speaking, if the actual price is higher than the theoretical price, then we just sell or short sell the option and buy the replication of the asset that will provide the same payoff as the option, and vice versa. If the price of the option is lower than the theoretical price, then we buy the option and sell the equivalent assets that provide the same payoff as the option. Next, we discuss the binomial tree. The key thing here is the risk-neutral assumption we used to determine the probability that the price of the stock would go up after some time. For determining the price of financial derivatives, we are doing a backward calculation for the binomial tree of the price change process of the underlying stock. Note that for the American options, we can always choose to early exercise, and sometimes when a put option is deep in the morning, which means that the price of the underlying stock decreases much, then one could always choose to early exercise because the continuum value is less than the intrinsic value. Finally, we learned the Wiener process and the stochastic differential equation for the stock price. We should be able to write down the general stochastic differential equation dx equals to a dt plus sigma dbt, where bt is the Wiener process or white noise. Specifically for the stock price, the stochastic differential equation it satisfies is dst equals to mu st dt plus sigma st dbt. So this is what we should always keep in mind to calculate the stochastic differential equation satisfied by financial derivatives that depend on stock. Thank you for listening.